Welcome to Wireless Works. Today, we're exploring the topic of leveraging quality of experience information to optimize network performance and improve the end user experience. I'm Steve Kielley, North America Sales Director for Cambium Networks, and joining me is Wilson Spence, North America Regional Technical Manager for Cambium Networks. Wilson, great to have you here. Can you briefly share your experience in this area?
Sure, Steve. In 2003, I started a WISP. And in 2006, I bought my first QoE appliance. At the time, I had no idea how to use it and was very skeptical as to whether it could manage our network performance. But 16 years later, I believe if you're not running a QoE box in your network, you will have to seriously overbuild your network to get even close to the performance in your network that QoE gives you.
If you had all these different service providers listening to you today, every one of them is going to ask, why should I spend the money on QoE? So from your perspective, why would somebody buy QoE?
Well, the main reason is you want to save and preserve your capital. If you don't use QoE, you're going to have to overbuild your network. And even then, you're going to get congestion on the network. And with that, without QoE, you won't be able to control the traffic on your network. Because not all traffic is equal. You have voice, you have video streaming, you have bulk transport. You just don't want to build a dumb pipe, because if you build a dumb pipe, you're going to get congestion, and congestion leads to the spinning wheel of death in video, which means customers have a bad experience. QoE is featured to your customers, and if you do it right, customers will get a good quality of experience on your network.
Yeah, I've seen that in the industry where people are constantly trying to break down their APs into horns, and they're looking for additional spectrum. They're constantly fighting with noise. And so what you're saying is QoE makes an intelligent pipe. Therefore, you can manage the traffic better and maybe even free up some capacity.
Yes, indeed, Steve. That's exactly what we need to do with QoE. Manage traffic, free up capacity for video and voice and games, and make sure the experience for the customer is a good one.
I don't know if everyone on the podcast listening would understand how QoE works, but could you just give them a basic idea of how the QoE works?
Oh, well, as I said, not all traffic is the same for a customer. Basically, if you break it into three categories, high meaning it's important to get it through, middle meaning you wanted to go through, but it's not as high as gaming, for example, and then low, which is bulk traffic, like a software update or downloading a game. It doesn't matter if it takes 6 minutes or 5 minutes. The customer does not see that. What you're trying to do is make sure the traffic is perfect for the customer in terms of video streaming and gaming and VoIP.
When you make an investment as a business owner, you want to know what the value is. So what are some of the business values of QoE to service providers?
Business values, what we've seen in QoE is, number one, if implemented correctly, you will stop seeing trouble calls from customers. No trouble calls from customers on speed issues and video streaming buffering means your actual loss of customers will reduce, and the number of calls reduces, so you need less people to actually answer those calls, or you can use those people to go and try and upsell people to different packages for video gaming, for example. if you can sell a gaming package for $3 more, it makes more on your bottom line. And you don't have to keep building bigger and bigger pipes for all the traffic. You can minimize the capital you have to spend in order to get best out of your network.
Well, and maybe you can confirm this with some of the results that I've seen early on with some of the customers that are using it that I've had personal experience with. They're able to rate limit certain applications like bulk traffic, where they're uploading or downloading files, and they're able to use our TCP accelerator, where we're actually intelligently managing the ACKs and increasing the network capacity by 15 to 20%. But the net result from a business value was these guys feel that they can add more subscribers to their APs, and that generates revenue. Did you notice that when you were at Rise?
Absolutely. One of the things is that if you are a gamer or something and you're in your home, the first thing you do is download your game. And as you download your game, you say, oh, it's going to take a while. It's a 60 gigabyte file. So it's going to take some time. So what happens is they then say, okay, I'll go and watch a video. So now that customer is not only downloading a file as fast as they can, but also downloading a video. You might not have the bandwidth for both of those. So if you actually slow down or have rules on the gaming software download, you can make sure the video is still working correctly. Yes, the download takes a little bit longer, but it doesn't affect the quality of experience of the customer.
Gotcha. That's pretty powerful stuff. So we talk about the good things about QoE. What is the one thing most people don't know about QoE, but should know?
I guess lack of knowledge is lack of power. If you're not managing your traffic in your network, all you're doing is saying, I've got X megabits going through my pipe, and every day at 8 o'clock it gets congested. I just need to build a bigger pipe. Well, that is not really the case. If you know, knowledge is power. So if you know what's going through your network, and you as an owner can say, here are the top 3 things I want to have for quality of experience for my customers, you can then manage your network with the QoE so that you don't have to keep building bigger and bigger and bigger pipes. At some point, you'll have to build a bigger pipe as you get more and more customers, but you need to understand what's happening in your network in order to maximize the effect on your network. Maximize the gains you can get from QoE.
So, we talked earlier, we talk about how this will work on fiber networks, on cable networks, on wireless networks. It doesn't really matter the media. How does it work exactly with fiber?
It's exactly the same as any other network. It's just bits that are traveling along, and each bit is a different flow. And those flows are the same whether it's on fiber or on wireless. The only difference between the two is the medium. The streams from Netflix or Hulu or whatever are the same whether they go through fiber or they go through wireless. Therefore, they can be managed the same way with QoE. All the major fiber suppliers use QoE.
Okay, good. You were talking earlier about how if, knowledge is power, and if you can identify your traffic, there's opportunities for upsells and increased revenue. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, you can actually rate limit or take video, for example. If you want to, you could supply a package to customers that give them 4K video, or you can provide a package that does high definition video or multiple high definition video. So you can actually tailor packages to what customers are using. so you can actually make more money with different packages and keep your customers satisfied.
Yeah, we saw that with one of our customers where they actually used Qoe to improve latency, and they offered it to gaming customers. So it's an actual gamer package that had latency that was managed at a higher priority through the Qoe. So that was kind of a cool application.
Yep.
So one thing you said to me when we were talking months ago is that when you were at Rise, you were able to drop your trouble calls by 50%. So, that's a huge impact to an organization as big as Rise. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how Qoe reduces churn and support calls.
Well, customers use the internet, and if everything is working, they never pop their head up to go and look for a different solution, because it's like water or electricity. If it's running, you don't care about it. If it's not running, you care. And if you get the spinning wheel of death in videos, which people got with streaming, then that's the opportunity for your customer to stand up and say, is there another solution for me? So that's how it reduces churn. Because if you don't get the spinning wheel of death and the resolution is good enough, you won't bother about it that your internet gaming takes twice as long to download as video, because video is the one that's important to you.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Like we're on this call right now. If you started buffering and you did that a lot when I was on my service, I'd be upset about it and I'd look for another option. So that makes a lot of sense. How does the Qoe, we talked about this and you were saying that it can reduce labor. You saw a reduction in labor.
Oh, well, if you have a lot of customers calling in complaining all the time of slow speeds, bad video streaming, you waste a lot of effort trying to make these customers work. Mm-hmm. The easier way is to use Qoe to put in some rules that make sure that video streaming is good and gaming is good. And then the customer doesn't phone in and complain, so you don't have to roll trucks. You don't have to have as many people in your support group to answer the calls. So those two in itself just save you money as a company. And your reputation gets better because your video streaming is there and it's doing well. You get more referrals from customers.
Yeah, I can see how that would help your brand and your ratings on Google reviews and so on and so forth.
Yep.
What experiences have network operators seen in the field?
In recent ones that I've been doing for Qoe, for customers trying out the Qoe box, a recent one, we put in one rule and it ended up with 70 megabits more of video streaming than they were getting beforehand with one simple rule. And then, of course, they already get somewhere between 10 and 20% just by the TCP optimizer in the Qoe box. So you get the 10% plus with a simple rule, you can get another 10 to 15% video traffic that you would have had in lower definition. Now it's probably in higher definition. So it really benefits you to actually use Qoe. You can put some simple rules in and get a lot. Then as you learn what's happening in your network, you can put more complex rules in order to maximize the benefit of Qoe.
Okay. You talk about complex rules, and that makes me ask the question that I get asked all the time. With our Qoe, it's DPI based, meaning deep packet inspection.
Yep.
And a lot of guys said that they had experience with DPI based solutions and they made their mind hurt. They were so complex. Is our Qoe very complex to install and implement?
Actually, it's very easy to install and implement. In fact, the implementation of it, you don't even have to bother about integrating your billing system. Everybody always asks about that. You can get most of the performance without integrating it into your billing, because the QoE box itself looks at all the IP addresses and gives you all the flows. So to me, the best implementation of it is to put it in, get the benefit from the TCP optimizer immediately, then put in a simple couple of rules for streaming traffic versus bulk traffic versus voice and gaming. And that will give you a whole bunch, I don't know what percentage, but a good percentage of the benefit of using QoE. What you do after that is, if you want to put in, once you've understood that you're getting a benefit, you then integrate with your billing system, and then you can see which customers are doing what, and you can start doing rules for different customer packages. So you don't need to do that up front. It's very simple and very easy to implement without integrating it into your billing.
That's good to know. Okay. So from a hardware perspective, where does the QoE box sit and how hard is it to implement there?
There are two places where you can really put it. You can use it as a tower model, put it on a backhaul that's going to maybe a dozen towers, and put it in there to just try out to see whether the TCP optimizer and a few simple rules work for you. And that's where most people try their proof of concept. Once that's over, you'd put it at your head end so that it would see all the traffic. And that's when you integrate it with your billing as well. Because obviously, if you're putting it out at a network, at the end of the network, you really don't want to integrate it with billing at that point. You just want to take the benefits and see what the benefits are so that you can make a decision to put it at your head end, integrate it with the billing, and do more rules once you've got it up and running.
Okay. How can an operator get a trial to see this for themselves?
Well, we offer a trial, a proof of concept, or POC, as we call it. And you can get it to put it into your network and try it out for a month. And we will support you doing that and help you with simple rules to make sure you see the benefit. And once you've seen the benefit, you can make a decision whether to buy or not.
Okay. So in summary, it's very easy to trial. You can install it at your tower to do a very small trial on a part of your network, or you can put it at your NOC. It's very easy to install. You can simply turn on the TCP optimizer, and you're going to see 15 to 20% more capacity in your network, just that alone. Very simple. Okay. And then beyond that, you can make 2 or 3 simple rules where maybe you're going to have your interactive traffic prioritized above your streaming traffic, and then your streaming traffic prioritized above bulk traffic, like file downloads.
Yes.
By simply doing that, you can see enough benefit to justify the cost of the QoE. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's exactly how I would do it as an operator. I would actually put it out, see what the benefit is, and do an ROI on it. It's a business decision.
And the great thing about this being DPI based is that once you do that and you see the return on your investment and you start to get familiar with it, the control of every packet it offers about a number of rules that you could start to create to benefit, customize for your network.
Absolutely. In fact, I don't know if you really get a QoE system if you don't have DPI. Good
point. Yeah. So Wilson, one thing I would think about is that, if I was an operator and I decided not to use QoE, what's going to happen? What's the downside of just saying, I don't need QoE?
Well, In a wireless world, you are going to end up having to put up a lot more capital equipment to service the customers, because wireless access points have finite bandwidth. And what happens is, instead of having 100 customers on a AP, you might be limited to putting 70 customers on AP. So those other 30 customers are costing you more because you had to put up another AP for those other 30 customers. And that continues all the way through your network, because you aren't watching what's going through your network. You're not managing your network. You're basically saying, I'm going to build it as big as possible. I don't care. Well, that is a downfall in the long term. You're going to spend far too much capital, and therefore your cost for each customer is going to be increased. And, you know, one of the things that is a pressure on each WISP today is the pressure for customers in terms of cost of packages. You have to make sure your cost of your package and the cost to you actually means you make a profit. That is hard if you don't manage your network.
Okay. Yeah. And I've seen where network operators have towers that have plenty of opportunity to sell to customers, but they just simply run out of spectrum. So
right.
I can see where you're saying that you paint yourself into a corner by just adding more and more hardware. Eventually you run out of spectrum and then your tower is sold out. So
yep.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, no, thank you, Wilson. I appreciate all the insight and giving us all your experience that you've had over the years.
Thank you.